So the question is, can you get a mortgage? Mick Szoka, what do you think?
Oh,
Union
yeah.
home mortgage.
We certainly would love to have the opportunity.
Well,
Good
you've been on
morning.
a few times, you've been talking about mortgages and how we prepare for them, how we get ready for them, how we apply, all the different things, and these are great tips.
Right.
So give us a fast recap of the 4 major components to a mortgage loan that
Yeah,
we
so in
talked
a
about.
previous segment, we talked about credit, income, assets, and collateral being the 4 major components. In the last segment, we talked about credit, so this time we're going to talk about income.
Ta-da! Oh, income. Oh, boy. Okay, this is tough. Do I have enough income? No. Okay, so what types of income can we use to qualify for a mortgage?
Yeah, so of course, there's many sources of income. Obviously, most people, it's some sort of employment. But also in this community, you know, we see people with retirement accounts running off that. You know, you've got different disabilities, VA,
VA loans?
Social Security disability or Social Security income, all those types of incomes count, and we can use, yeah. So
not a percentage of, but like the whole thing? So.
Yeah, so what's interesting is that by regulation, a few years ago, several years ago, when the CFPB was created, they created a regulation called the ability to repay. So with that, prior to that, we had income calculations, but this went a little bit further. So with that, you know, we calculate your ability to repay based on a person's gross income. So that equals not the net.
That helps
so
a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. So that levels the playing field because taxes in different locations can be different and so forth.
For different people.
Exactly. So there's some variance there. So we go on a gross income. So we use gross income. What's interesting fact about Social Security, either your Social Security income from retirement or Social Security disability or VA disability, is that's actually, when you receive that, you receive those actual funds. So that's much like a net income. So we can actually increase that number mathematically so that it looks like we use a gross number. So let's say someone receives $1,200 a month in Social Security or VA disability, we actually can increase it to a little bit above $1,500.
Because that would be more correct with what gross would be for other types of incomes.
Exactly.
Okay, all right. So how does someone how long do you have to have been getting income? Because I know if you have a job and then you change jobs, sometimes it invalidates your income for a period of time.
Right, so what we look for is at least a 2-year history. You're going to look at 2-year history as far as income. Now, what many people don't realize is that it doesn't mean that you have to be 2 years on that same job. It can be in a related field. For an example, let's take someone who was a radio personality, came to TV.
And that works?
And that works, because it's the same type of field.
So is this like assuming that you may know what you're doing still if you're in the same field?
Yeah, or you took a pay raise. A better opportunity, moved across country, whatever it may be, found a similar type of work. So we look at a 2-year history. Another interesting tidbit, though, is that if a person gets a degree from college and gets a job, we can start it right then because we count the education period as a work history.
Wow, that's really great. So again, you assume they know what they're doing, and so they're going to continue to get that income to
they
be
got
able
the
to pay
degree
the payments on the mortgage.
to be a whatever you want to say, a doctor. Let's say you can go into a doctor's job or whatever. As soon as we can start using that income.
Wow, that's fascinating. Experience or education, either one works. On that kind of thing.
The other thing is that, so if you're related jobs, let's say someone was a truck driver, went to working heavy equipment, very related. But if you're a plumber and went to a dentist, kind of hard.
Maybe not. You have to see if you can get a customer base. You know? All right. So, how do you use that income to calculate how much money someone could borrow?
Yeah. So going back to the ATR, like I said, the ability to repay, and previous regulations, guidance, we're allowed to use up to, for most loan programs, up to 50% of a person's gross income for their total debt to income ratio, which that total debt means the new proposed house payment plus any other monthly payments. And the key there to remember is the monthly payments that are included is for money that was borrowed. So in other words, car loans, credit cards, personal loans. It does not include utilities, does not include cell phones, those types of things, because those aren't borrowed monies. Those are just bills.
Oh, okay, so that's not in your debt ratio?
No.
Well, wow, who knew?
Yeah.
I didn't know that, because that can be a reasonably large portion of your bills.
It can. So when the important part is when I speak with a customer and we do this analysis, we come up and I can say, you can qualify, excuse me, qualify for X amount of payment. That doesn't mean that that's what they're comfortable with, or that's what they want. That's the most important thing when I sit down with a customer, is I want to know where they want to be and what kind of payment they're looking at.
Kind of what they think they can afford, too.
What's comfortable for them,
Yeah,
because everybody has a different lifestyle, right?
Wow, totally
So,
all right.
That's the difference between guidelines and real life.
Okay, you know where you quoted that from, Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah.
It's like the pirate code is sort of more of a suggestion than a rule.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
So what's the most important thing to remember about income if we want to get a mortgage?
So, you know, again, this goes back to that 2-year job history. Now, it doesn't mean that a person couldn't have a job gap. Let's say there's acceptable reasons. Company closed down. So it took you 6 weeks to find another job that was very relevant or very similar to the one you had before. You moved across country, changed, took a few weeks, so forth. But you have to be employed. We have to have a source of income currently, so forth. So, because sometimes here Prescott's such a destination for people. I talk to people all over the country. They're like, we're coming here, so forth. I ask if they have a job set up yet.
Okay.
No, not yet, but I'm looking for a job.
Most important thing is like get a job. Okay.
Yeah,
Mick
have to have
Szoka,
that income coming in.
Union Home Mortgage, you've been doing this for a lot of years. You know what
Yes,
you're doing.
yes.
So obviously this is the tip of the iceberg, so people need to come and chat with you if they need to. We have information on the screen, so
Absolutely.
thank
And
you.
I love having people just contact me, you know, ask questions. I'm happy to help anytime.
Awesome. They would need to, I'm sure. Thank you, Mick.
All right. Thanks,
All right.
Andy.
Mick Szoka, Union Home Mortgage. Again, information on the screen.